So it was announced today that the Pro Football. So it was announced today that the Pro Football Hall of Fame made its nominations for the 2025 class. Nominations include Marshawn Lynch, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. Luke Kuechly, first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt. Terrell Suggs, Earl Thomas also should be considered. But truly the biggest headline in the nominations for your Pro Football Hall of Fame class, which will be announced the day before the Super Bowl, is your quarterback, Eli Manning. Elijah Manning has been nominated for the first time for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And there is no doubt in my mind, not a single doubt, that Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. And probably the one pro athlete my entire life that people have debated and questioned his greatness is Eli Manning, and for stupid reasons as well. Not only did Eli Manning have a immensely successful career in the National Football League from 2004 to 2019, 15 years. The man not only won championships, not only won Super Bowl MVPs, but he did it with class, perseverance, and insane influence. And if we want to just go through some stats right now to prove how Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer, not only the big obvious one that he is a two-time Super Bowl MVP, and who are the other quarterbacks that actually have that distinction? It's only all-time greats. Bart Starr, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Montana. And in those two games, and specifically the Super Bowl 42, where he cemented his legacy in defeating the greatest modern football team we will ever see in the undefeated Patriots, a team that was a 14-point underdog going into it. The fact that he led that game-winning drive, the fact that he showed his accuracy in that only is a huge major example of why he should be a Hall of Famer. And not only that, 4 years later, he does it again in Super Bowl 46 against the New England Patriots, where he shows that accuracy, being under pressure throughout that game. And not only the Mario Manningham play, the David Tyree play, that right there is enough of a reason to make him a Hall of Famer. And if we want to go through those, and if people always want to discredit him, say, oh, it was really the defense who really won it. Justin Tuck should have been the MVP both times. That's some bullshit. He was the one down late in the fourth quarter twice. He was the one who brought them down the field. Obviously, the David Tyree catch in Super Bowl 42, the game-winning, Super Bowl-winning touchdown pass to Plaxico Burress, and then obviously the Mario Manningham play brings it down the field. Ahmad Bradshaw runs it in with his sit-down touchdown. The rest is history. And if you want to discredit him and think that he was carried by a defense, well, why don't we talk about the 15 touchdowns during his postseason career and only 2 interceptions? Why don't we talk about going to Lambeau Field twice, whether defeating Aaron Rodgers on that Super Bowl run in 2011 or defeating Brett Favre, literally ending his career in Green Bay in one of the coldest games of all time with Tom Coughlin and his peachy red, freezing cold cheeks. He was the one who led those drives to get those scores, get Lawrence Tynes in there to kick the NFC clinching field goal right there. We could also talk about him winning in Dallas. We could also talk about the couple times he won at home in the playoffs. And yeah, it speaks for himself. 8-4 during his playoff career. And okay, you want to say he's lucky, you want to say whatever, even though he's not lucky to do it twice. But we can also add to the fact that his regular season is clearly taken for granted, which includes top 10 in passing yards as of this moment, more than John Elway, in fact. We can also credit top 10 in passing touchdowns more than Johnny Unitas, Joe Montana, and John Elway. And obviously, the best thing he's remembered for, not only 210 straight starts from 2004 to 2017. And in an era with clearly the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, whether he was playing on god-awful teams with teammates who would discredit him, Tiki Barber, but, water's under the bridge. I love you, Tiki. Just want to say that. Or if we want to talk about, obviously, winning with the legendary offensive lines that got him those championships. And then the season after that in 2008, where things went right, but Plaxico Burress shoots himself and it all turns into a big mess. And then the tail end of his career where we had just nothing going on. But the fact that he came in every single week in the most hostile media market around, and he kept playing, never badmouthed the teammate, never badmouthed the coach, never badmouthed the front office. He just showed up each and every single week and proved why he is always in there no matter what, even with the beatings it takes to be an NFL quarterback. He was consistent. And might also add, obviously, on the road, 2012 NFC Championship, where he was getting beaten. The famous image of his uniform slipping and the shoulder back coming out when you have all-time greats like Patrick Willis and that insane secondary that Jim Harbaugh cooked up with the 49ers, and he still stayed in there despite all of that pain he was going through. Gets us where we need to be. Lawrence Tynes kicks it in once again and gets us back to the Super Bowl. Also, more road playoff wins than his own brother. And Brett Favre on top of that. This guy, the disrespect that he has always received, despite the numbers proving it both in the regular season and in the playoffs, showing that he deserves to be amongst the all-time greats. And I know for a fact that even if it's not first ballot, which it should, there will be a day that these writers recognize the greatness. And I do think people are starting to finally come to grips and realize that Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. And yeah, if you want to talk about all the, ending his career at 500 or not being an All-Pro or not being an MVP, well, I gave you plenty of reasons, both in the regular season and postseason, why those don't bring him down and why he is one of the best quarterbacks we will see. And when you see his face and mural in Canton, Ohio, and hopefully that day is confirmed this February, and when you see him there for life, and for all the ignorant people who think he doesn't deserve it, and for all the people who think he'll be he'd have the least amount of talent to make the game, well, why don't you shut your fucking face as if you could do any better? And if anything, the 210 consecutive starts in the NFL proves that alone. And if you want to say I don't know football, which obviously isn't true, with 3 straight years covering this NFL alone, and then 2 years in college football, and, all the years of me taking this sport in, I know what the hell I'm talking about. I might not always be right. My takes might not always be spot on. And my picks might not always be perfect, but we were perfect this past week in college and went 2-1 in the NFL. So I'm doing really well for myself. The eye test shows and the stat shows that Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. And for those who do not believe what I'm saying and do not believe he deserves his place in Canton, shame on you. And go read a book. Go to YouTube and see what this guy pulled off. And Eli Manning changed the NFL forever with his 2 major wins in this league. Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer. And if you don't believe that, do something else with yourself and use your energy for that ignorance and replace it with something else. Thank you, Eli. You are the New York Giants. And even in the times where the organization themselves didn't believe in you, you still put your body on the line. You still did everything you could to win football games, and you will forever have my respect. Not only as an obvious NFL Hall of Famer, but as a man. Good thing people are starting to realize it now. And for those who don't, get a life. So that's what I have to say there.